So let's say if you are finding it difficult to attend the session, later on you may go through the YouTube channel and you may go through the stuff, whatever has been delivered by the respective, sorry, yes. So there we are. That is, as I said, that is, we'll just dig upon what is AI, okay, then what are intelligent systems, soft computing, okay, then what are the constituents of this soft computing and so on, right? And then gradually we'll move to some problem associated with this technology, that is the black box problem in AI particularly. And at the end, we'll just try to conclude with some solutions available for this black box problem and so on, right? So having said this, uh, we need to first of all know what is human intelligence first of all, right? So human intelligence, being a human being, uh, let me be very clear on this front as well. That is, as far as these sessions are concerned, it is expected that the speaker should talk for around 45 to 50 minutes, and we have to have some brainstorming on the issue which has been discussed in this session. But anyway, if you can participate, I'll be happy to hear you as well, right? Because these issues are cropping up. There are, as far as AI is concerned, there are very many things which needs a lot of deliberation. Some of you may feel that you may have your own perspective, that is the use of this AI tool is, it should be restricted and so on. So we'll definitely touch upon all those dimensions, right? But we'll start from scratch, as I said. That is because these sessions are basically intended for the masses, and accordingly, these sessions are molded in accordance to that. So we'll start from scratch. We need to understand what is human intelligence. Let's say, if I ask you, any one of you, what do you feel? Why we are considered as one of the most intelligent living species on the earth? Any one of you would like to comment on this? What is human intelligence? What is your perception about human intelligence? What we are capable of in terms of intelligence? Any one of you? See, the idea is again not to test your knowledge, right, or check your technical competencies. The idea is to simply get you involved in the discussion. Okay, that is the only objective of posing this question. Anyway, so if you are not in a position, doesn't matter. Okay, human intelligence is basically the human ability to learn, reason, and navigate novel or challenging situations. So we are capable of learning, right? So you and I, we can be trained in a particular area. Okay, so learning capabilities is one of the important aspect of human intelligence. Then we do have some reasoning capabilities. So whenever we take some decision, okay, we can very well justify that decision. That is how we arrive at that particular decision and so on. So reasoning capabilities, maybe comprehension capabilities, okay, and last but not the least, navigating through novel or challenging situation. Let's say you have undergone a training in a particular domain. Okay, so when you are exposed to altogether new situation in that regard, okay, so we are capable of taking decision in that regard. So navigating novel or challenging situation. This is the fourth and the most important aspect of human intelligence, right? So what is AI on the similar line? What is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence, it is nothing but the study of mechanism that think and act like humans, right? So we when we can incorporate these two characteristics into a machine, okay, or more specifically in a computer, okay, we may call that machine as an artificial intelligent machine. Okay. So what are those capabilities we are talking about? One is the thinking capability, and the second is taking decision. Okay. Once you are capable of training a machine in a particular domain. Okay. If it is capable of taking decision, okay, decision making capabilities are embedded into a machine. You may call that machine as an intelligent machine. Or to put it in some, you can say very straightforward words, you may call this as a mimicking human behavior, right? So any technique which that enables computer to mimic human behavior, okay? Now, the dimension of human behavior we have already talked about. That is, we are capable of doing lot many things, right? So let us try to understand what are intelligent systems. Intelligent systems are systems which are capable of performing meaningful operation. Okay, that is one important characteristic. Second is the interpreting information, then comprehending the relation between the phenomena or object. And let's say the last but not the least, that is whenever you train these systems in a particular domain, okay, they are capable of applying the knowledge, whatever they have acquired during training or learning, into altogether new conditions, right? So let's say if we are in a position to incorporate these four characteristics into a machine or into any electronic gadget, we may call that gadget or that machine as an intelligent machine, right? Having said this, uh, let us look at the evolution of this AI. Okay. So, if you look at the historical perspective, this technology is not at all new, right? Uh, this term was very first time it was tossed way back in 1956, okay, by John McCarthy. Okay, there was some international conference that took place in that month, right, in UK, and wherein this aspect was very first time was tossed by John McCarthy. John McCarthy is the inventor of Lisp as well, right? Lisp is a programming language which is typically used for building AI system and so on. So it is not at all new, okay, but it has evolved. Okay, now at present, then what has happened? Gradually, we moved to machine learning, then deep learning, and at present, we are living in an era of what they call it as the generative AI. So we'll move through all these dimensions of this AI, right? So traditional AI, whatever we call it as, okay, what is it? It is nothing but the ability uh, to do tasks that traditionally only humans have been able to. Okay. So let's say if you are able to perform all those tasks, okay, which are typically associated with human being, right, using a computer, okay, that is nothing but the traditional AI. So how these things were achieved in those days, people used to contact the human expert, okay, and ask them that is how do they solve a particular problem or how do they perform any particular activity. And what they used to do, they used to frame if then else rules based on their knowledge or their expertise, okay, and those rules were explicitly embedded into a machine, and then that machine is capable of taking decision, okay. Typical examples are like say playing chess, or maybe homeopathy expert, or anything else for that purpose, right? So as far as the traditional AI is concerned, traditional AI deals with the ability of computer to do tasks that traditionally only humans have been able to do, right? So framing, explicitly framing if then else rules, and finding out solution to a particular problem. Okay, but there were issues with regard to this traditional AI and so on, right? We'll just try to whether the yeah. All right. So as I said, the traditional AI, the biggest problem was it was time intensive. Okay, because we used to have large rule bases those days. Okay, say for example, if you look at the homeopath uh, expert system for diagnosing disease of a particular patient. Okay, let's say the entire repertoire of the homeopath. Okay, people used to fed into machines. Okay, in the form of if then else rules, and whenever a patient visit the doctor, he or she used to key in all those symptoms and ask the system to diagnose a particular disease. So large rule bases, maybe thousands of rules, and definitely the machines were quite old those days. So it takes a lot of time to, you can say, arrive at a particular decision. So the another biggest problem with this traditional AI was it doesn't generalize to new situation. Let's say if you give the same homeopathy system, whatever you have developed using the repertoire, right? And you ask it altogether new symptoms, say like COVID-19 like scenario. So it will come up with something like, sorry, no match found. So it was specific to whatever has been keyed in, okay, in terms of rules and so on. So if you expose that system to altogether new situation, it will not be in a position to sort out that problem. Okay, it will say, sorry, I am unable to find a perfect match. Okay, whatever has been keyed in. So we the another important problem with this, you can say the traditional AI, or rather issue with this traditional AI was, we as a human being, we know more than we tell. Okay, so whenever you approach some doctor, okay, most of the time he is not in a position to conclude that how he has arrived at a particular conclusion, okay, in terms of diagnosis and so on. So it's pretty difficult to write down rules for all possible situations. Okay, that was the another problem associated with the traditional AI approach. Then let's say if you are dealing with a very large set of parameters, then there was a possibility of what they call it as the combinatorial wheel explosion. Okay, so this is typically applicable when you are dealing with complex problems and so on, right? So having said this, traditional AI, okay, we were able to solve some problems, okay, some problems which earlier human beings were able to do, but with limited scope, right? With limited scope, right? So mathematical modeling and then rule-based system, this is what I have talked about. That is, and the rule-based were typically large rule bases were there, and it used to take, you can say, rather consume a lot of time for arriving at a particular conclusion and so on. Then the second era, what they call it as the machine learning. Now, in today's scenario, whenever we talk about AI, okay, by default we are referring to this machine learning. Okay, so those days are gone. Okay, so what is machine learning? Machine learning is basically, we do not program explicitly as in case of the traditional AI, wherein, as I have told you, that is, we used to write, we used to rather create explicit if then else rules, and those rules were keyed into the machine, and then we take certain decisions. But in case of machine learning, instead of explicitly telling the computer what to do, okay, we provide computer with lots of examples. That is what they call it as the input output data set. Okay, and through that data set we train the machine. Okay, and we ask them to rather and apply some statistical techniques to learn the relationship between input and output. So if you look at the earlier, you can say the machine learning systems, so this is not all about all the time. Again, most of the time we feel that neural network is the only solution, but there are new statistical techniques as well, okay, which you may deploy for solving about one particular problem. And what was the objective of using those statistical techniques is to find out the relationship between input and output, right? So this is how it has evolved. That is the machine learning. It is without being explicitly programmed, right? So we are not explicitly programming it. Rather, the machines are learning on their own from the data set, okay, and establishing some or the other relationship between input and the output pair. Okay, so this is typically, you can say, there are, as I said, any statistical technique you may use. So statistical techniques like, say, linear regression, logistic regression, classifications, SVM, random forest, gradient descent, whatnot, and neural network is one of them, undoubtedly. Right, neural network is undoubtedly one of the approach. Okay, but which is the predominantly most popular approach in this area. Okay, so whenever we refer to machine learning, most of the time we feel that we are referring to neural networks all the time, right? But that is not the case. Okay, that is not the case. So with regard to machine learning, again, we do have a lot of problems. So the very first problem is is the necessity of having structured data. Now, what do we mean by structured data? Meaning thereby anything which is numeralized. Okay, for example, your CGPA or maybe any personal data, okay, which you can figure it out in terms of numbers, right? So many times we need to perform, let's say, if certain data which is, it is not possible directly to numeralize. What we need to do is we need to pre-process it, okay, then normalize it, and then put it in the proper structured form. Okay, then and then we can give it to any, you can say, the neural network or any model for learning purposes, right? So machine learning, again, having the issue with regard to the quality of data, right? The data has to be structured only, right? Structured only. Now, having said this, if you look at as a generic approach for solving any problem, okay, so there are two approaches of solving when it comes to computer science, right? At one end, we have what they call it as the hard computing approach, and the other way around, we have a soft computing approach. Right. So in case of hard computing, what do we do? Normally, we have very precise models. We do have exact values of the parameters. And what do we do for solving any problem? We use traditional numerical modeling, and such mechanisms are typically deployed in case of hard computing approach. But on the other hand, that is the soft computing approach, or which you may call it as a AI-based approach. It uses approximate model. Okay, because whenever you take some decision, okay, normally you do not have the exact data or precise data at your disposal, right? So we take decision based on approximate data. Okay, that's why we need to exploit approximate models in this case, right? So approximate reasoning, and again functional approximation and randomized search are typically being used in case of this soft computing or AI based approach. Now let us try to understand, that is how do they differ, that is the hard computing and the soft computing in terms of certain aspect. The very first thing with regard to hard computing is we use only bivalent logic, that is either something is true or something is false, right? Whereas in case of you can say soft computing, we use multivalent, we use bivalent as well as multivalent logic. Okay, so we are exploring the possibilities between 0 and 1, right? So all the possibilities between 0 and 1, that is again very much applicable in case of this soft computing approach, and that is why it was a complete paradigm shift. Okay, it was a complete paradigm shift in terms of problem solving techniques in using computers. Okay, now let us try to relate this with whatever we are discussing today. Okay, so this soft computing has been defined by the father of soft computing, Dr. Professor Lutfi Ali Zadeh, as it is in contrast to traditional hard computing. Soft computing exploits the tolerance for imprecision. That is, we are dealing with imprecise knowledge. Second dimension is the uncertainty. And the third one is the partial truth. That is, nothing is 100% true or 100% false. It is true to the degree of some truthfulness. And what is the objective of having this kind of a setup is to achieve the solutions which are tractable, robust, okay, low cost, and better report with reality. Okay, you can extend this to maybe a washing machine, or maybe the air conditioner installed at your home or in your office. Okay, because if you look at all these electronic gadgets nowadays, most of them, they claim that they are having built-in AI functionality, right? Or for simplicity, even if you look at your mobile phone itself, again, there are a lot of AI functionalities are present in your mobile sets, right? So having said this, it was a complete paradigm shift, right? It is in contrast. That is, it is completely a revolutionary kind of a thing which has changed the landscape of any sector, I tell you. We'll just try to feel the heat when we'll discuss the various aspects of this AI in greater detail. Okay, probably in the next session. Right. Now, if you look at in terms of the objectives of this approach, it is mimicking human linguistic reasoning, right? Mimicking human linguistic reasoning. And there are four basic constituents of this soft computing approach. Okay, fuzzy system is one of them, neural networks, then we do have evolutionary computing, and the probabilistic reasoning. Right? Each one of them, they are good in some or the other domain. Right? Each one of them, they are good in some or the other domain. Say, for example, fuzzy systems are good when you are dealing with imprecision. Okay, just like I've given you the example of washing machine, okay, wherein you don't have precise knowledge. So what do we do in that case? We normally frame some 27, 30 odd rules, and we embed those rules into a microcontroller, and we put that microcontroller in place. Okay, so what it will do, it will take control of all the components installed in the machine, okay, and it will behave as if some human being is taking all those washing decisions, right? So fuzzy systems are good when we are dealing with imprecise knowledge. learning capabilities are embedded into this machine by means of neural networks. So neural networks has got that. We will have some detailed discussion on those aspects as well. That is, how do they learn? Okay, what are the various learning strategies and so on. And let's say if you are dealing with uncertainty, you may use probabilistic reasoning, evolutionary computing, wherein we have a lot of algorithms, what they call it as biologically inspired algorithms, which are typically used for optimization purpose, okay, and colony optimization and so on. So each one of them, they are good in some or the other area, but let's say depending upon the problem, you may have a hybrid combination of any of these, you can say, constituents, depending upon your requirement. So you may have fuzzy neuro or neuro fuzzy kind of a structure, or maybe evolutionary computing and fuzzy system and so on, right? Now, having said this, this is a very broader picture, right? We'll just try to digest one important aspect with regard to this area, okay, what they call it as, that is computing with words. Okay, so whenever we talk about computing, the very first thing comes to our mind is that we are dealing with numbers. So computing is always, you can say, it is it is possible only with numbers. Okay, how about, let's say, if you want to compute with words? So one landmark paper of Professor Zadeh is there, right, wherein he has talked about, it was again quite old, maybe 1963 or 64 paper, okay, wherein he has come up with this idea of, that is, from computing with numbers to computing with words, right? So it was a landmark paper, okay, and those of you who are really eager to uh, dig these things in greater detail, okay, you may toss these terms like, say, computing with words. Okay, so again, there are different levels of CW, CW 0, 1, 2. At present, we are in the era of 2, right? So CW is one important aspect. Then theory of information granulation, that is TFIG, and conceptual theory of perception, that is CTP, is the another keyword, right? So if you toss these three keywords, okay, you'll find a lot of stuff over there. So one landmark paper of Professor Zadeh is wherein he has demonstrated that is, it is possible to compute with words. Okay, we'll just try to understand this concept with the help of a pretty simple example. Let's say you want to compute Rekha's age. Okay, and with regard to the lady called Rekha, I am providing you two propositions. Proposition P1 is she has a son in mid 20s. Okay, and proposition P2 is she has a daughter in mid 30s. Okay. Now, and the third is the word knowledge. Third is the word knowledge, that is usually the mother's age at birth of child is between 20, or asterisk 20 for short, and approximately 40, or asterisk 40 for short. Now, the question is it possible to compute Rekha's age with this much knowledge? Okay. And you need to note one important point here. That is, I'm not providing you any numbers. Okay. And still, let's see whether it is possible to compute Rekha's age or not. I'll take a pause for a minute. Okay. Let's say if any one of you would like to respond. Okay. You are welcome. I hope you people are with me. We are trying to understand, that is it possible to compute with words? Hello, a good number of around 50. Yeah. So anybody would like to comment? All right. Right. This can be very well sorted out by simply translating these two statements, which are written in English like statements, right? That she has a son in mid 20s and she has a daughter in mid 30s, into what they call it as a computation ready word. So we need to perform a small operation, what they call it as depreciation, right? So what we will do, so as to distinguish this P1 from this preciated statement, okay, we will call it as P1 star, okay, and P2 star and P3 star and so on, right? So let us appreciate this P1 as, okay, what is appreciation is P1 star, okay, the same statement that she has a son in mid 20s. So it is implied that age son is asterisk 25. Okay, similarly, on the similar line, she has a daughter in mid 30s. Okay, so that can be very well sorted out as age daughter is asterisk 35. And the third proposition, that is the word knowledge, that is P3. Okay, you may appreciate it in this particular manner, that is age mother at birth is usually between asterisk 20, comma asterisk 40. Right. So all the three statements we have transformed, or rather appreciated. We performed a small operation called as appreciation, that is translating these statements into what they call it as a computation ready word. Okay, that is nothing but the appreciation, right? So now if you add up, if you simply apply aggregation function, okay, you can very well determine Rekha's age. So age Rekha is asterisk 25, usually asterisk 20, comma asterisk 40. Fusion asterisk 35, usually asterisk 20, comma asterisk 40. Okay, so this will give you an exact value of, yes, anyone of you would like to respond? What you will get as the answer? Any idea about that? All right. So you will get an exact value as her age is 55, to be very specific. Okay, because if you simply solve this particular last statement, whatever we have written, okay, you can arrive at that particular answer, right? Now, having said this, it is possible to compute with words, okay? And when Professor Zadeh came up with this idea, okay, and he presented a paper in an international conference, okay, that conference was chaired by Rudolf Kalman, okay, who is considered as one of the renowned system engineer those days, right? So he criticized Professor Zadeh's work like anything. So he said, this fellow has gone mad, right? Whatever he's talking, he's doing some daydreaming and whatnot. But this small concept has given birth to a lot of, you can say, solutions, okay, engineering problem solutions, okay, wherein we are witnessing, again, there are a lot of areas wherein we are witnessing. So this concept is typically used, okay, and as I said, that is, we are in the era of CW2. So CW0 is carriers of information are merely the words, then CW1, CW2, okay, and so on, right? So appreciation, what is it? It is a prerequisite to computation. Okay. So you can appreciate any statement. Somebody has raised a hand. All right. I think I myself. Anyway. So sorry. What has happened? Oh no. My slides are visible to you, or we have
Yes, sir, your slides are visible.
slides are visible. Thank
Yeah.
you.
PowerPoint mode has gone. Like the
All right.
slideshow is not there.
Yes, ma'am. And probably I think where were we? We were talking about, yes. Now hopefully you are able to see it, right?
Yes, sir, yes, sir, it's visible.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm.
So what I was referring to, it is essentially important to note that it is a meaning which plays an essential role in CW. Okay, so appreciation, even though it seems to be a pretty simple and straightforward operation, okay, you can very well convert any English-like statement, rather any statement which is written in natural language into a computation-ready word, right? So if you are able to model any problem in this framework, you can very well solve any real-life problem using this or extending this concept to, or deploying this concept to solve that particular problem, right? So we have a lot of solutions which are based on these small concepts, okay, wherein we have natural language based modeling, specification and optimization, okay, then decision analysis. Let's say there are some typical problems which are, again, you may explore it, okay, if you feel like say waiter tip problem, and so on, right? So let's say you are visiting a restaurant, okay, and you want to decide the amount of tip you want to give to the waiter who has served you, right? So that can be easily determined by using this small concept, wherein you can frame some 7, 8, depending upon the number of parameter, 8, 9 rules, if then else rules, and you can very well conclude that how much amount of tip you must give to that person who is so better tip problem than chatbots, right? Provide some basic functionality of chatbot, okay, question answering systems and search engines and so on, right? So having said this, the machine learning, let us try to elaborate it a little further. Okay, so as I said, that is these things are not at all new. Okay, quite old. But if you look at the beauty of these architecture, that is the machine learning architecture, typically the neural networks. Okay, they have got the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. Okay, so you are not programming them, right? In case of traditional AI, what do? We frame some rules if then is explicit programming is there. Whereas in this case, we do not do so. Rather, we implicitly train them, right? We train them with the help of some data set, right? And so such algorithms typically follow some programmed instruction. Definitely some instructions are there, but they learn from the data. Okay, and they learn from the data, and we do not do any sort of explicit programming for the training purposes. So these algorithms, they are capable of learning. And how do they learn? Okay, that we need to know. Okay, but before directly jumping to the, you can say, the learning perspective and so on, we need to know little about these architectures. So as a matter of fact, these neural network architectures are inspired from human biological neurons, right? That is, if you look at the structure of our brain, okay, it is inspired from that structure only. So what is a neural network? It is basically a artificially neural network, okay, or ANN in abstract it is called as, okay. And as I said, it is now it is biologically inspired, okay. The another important aspect we need to know with regard to neural network is they have got these three peculiar characteristics present in them. The very first one is they are capable of acquiring new knowledge, storing that knowledge, okay, once you train them, and utilizing that knowledge for taking some decisions, or maybe classification or prediction or whatever is the objective for which you have designed those systems, right? So knowledge acquisition, storing that knowledge, and utilizing that knowledge for some, you can say, the experiential purpose, right? Now, if you look at the application areas, okay, this is again an indicative list. Okay, there are millions of applications available. Right, say you name the area, you will find the application is there. Now, this is a typical, you can say, a biological neuron. As I said, that is, it is inspired from a biological neuron, and based on that, we have an artificial neuron, right? So this is a typical structure wherein you have a nucleus, cell body, and then axon and dendrites, right? And the input is given by, you can say, the another another neuron. Okay, they are connected, they are densely connected with each other, and then the neurons fired, and you get some or the other output, right? So this is an artificial neuron wherein these are the inputs, that is x1 and x2, and this w1 and w2 is the synaptic strength or the weight. Okay, so during learning, what happens is these weights are basically normalized. Okay. So, and this Y, that is output, is typically a summation of X1 W1 plus X2 W. So whenever you feed these systems with some kind of, you can say, the structured data in the form of input output pair, what do? They learn the relationship between input and output from those pair of data sets. Okay. Say, for example, let us assume that is this is 0.32 x1 and then 0.77. So the learning capabilities lies within this weight, right? Learning capabilities lies within these weights. Okay. And once you train them and the training is over, we claim that the weights are normalized. Okay. We claim that the weights are normalized. So this is how the, you can say, this is a simple one neuron, right? This is a representation of one simple neuron, okay, single layer perceptron, what they call it as. Okay, so if you look at the peculiar characteristics of these structures, okay, they are capable of processing. They are also referred to as information processing systems. So they are capable of processing information. wherein the neuron processes the information, the signals are transmitted by means of connection links, that is nothing but the weights or the synaptic strength. Then the links possess an associated weight, right? With each link, we have a some weight associated with it, and there lies the, you can say, their ability to learn. Okay, and the output signal is obtained by simply applying some activation function. This you may, for time being, will not go into a lot of mathematics. Okay, what is activation function? It is non-linearity through which it passes, and then we get some or the other output, right? So this is a multi-layer perceptron. This is, earlier we have seen a single layer wherein we have only one neuron. Okay, this way you may have many. Okay, say for example x0 to xn, and with each x0 you have to have a w0 associated with it. So x0 into w0 plus x1 into w1 plus up to dot dot xn into wn, I is equal, I or j equals to 1 to n, right? And then, as I said, this is it goes through some activation function, or then the bias is again there. So there are a lot of mathematics involved, but we'll not go into the detail. We'll just try to learn, that is how the learning takes place. Okay, so what do we do in the first run? We start with some random bit, any value between 0 and 1. Okay, and then the input is constant. Okay, the input, whatever data pair you have. So you start with a random weight. What do? You compare the output, and you get some or the other output. Okay, let's say you are supposed to get 1.0 as the output, whereas you are getting zero point 0.8 as the output. Okay, then what do? We compute this error, and in the second run, we simply change the value of the weight. Okay, input, it is not possible to change. Okay, so we are left with only one parameter, and what is that parameter? Is to change the value of these weights. So in the next run, what do? We increase the value of weight, either increase or decrease. Both weight is possible. Okay, so randomly you need to pick any one of them. Okay, so you may go ahead with, say, let's say increasing, and then again observe the result. Okay, let us assume that in the second run, earlier you got 0.8 as the answer, whereas the desired output is 1.0. So zero point 0.2 was the error. Now in the second run, when you increase it by some delta, okay, what has happened? The output has changed from zero point 0.8 to 0.85. So meaning thereby we are in the right direction. So we go on increasing the weight till we get the desired output. See, ideally, we may say that the error has to be 0, but ideally it is not possible to get that 0. Okay, so you need to stop. Some stopping condition has to be there. Okay, wherein you will stop the training. Okay, again there are a lot of complexities involved, like say stucking up in local minima. Okay, many times you stuck up. So there are again various ways and means to come out of that local minima by adding some constant and so on. Okay, then how to achieve that global minima? Okay, so all those aspects are very much there. But as I said in today's session, okay, our objective is not learn all those dimensions. Our idea is to simply learn how this technology has evolved, and being a user, okay, whether you are from civil or mechanical or maybe arts or humanities, okay, how to make use of these things in our, you can say, teaching, learning, and research. But at the same time, we need to know how do they function. Okay, some basic knowledge is essentially needed. Okay, so all those aspects we are considering right now at this point of time. So as I said, that is per sample training, updating the weights and biases after the presentation of each sample. Okay, what do? We update it, either increase it or decrease it. Okay, and then again observe the result. Okay, so it will converge after a certain amount of time. So this cycling through from input to output is referred to as one epoch. Okay, or one iteration. You may call it as a iteration or a one epoch. Okay, so you may set some fixed epoch, or you may experiment it. Okay, 500 epoch, 5,000 epoch, and so on, depending upon the complexity of the problem. Okay, so per training set updating epoch or iteration, which I think I've already told you. Then how these neurons are connected with each other, that will determine the architecture of that neuron. Okay, so training is nothing but setting the weights. Okay, and the activation function, as I have told you, it is nothing but the non-linearity. Now there are again n number of possibility, but the most popular activation function is what they call it as the sigmoidal function, which has got certain advantages. Okay, so sigmoidal function is there, which is a typical S-shaped curve. Okay, or some variant of sigmoidal is again is possible, right? So this is one, as I was referring to, that is how they are connected. how the input and output is connected with each other, that will determine the architecture. So as you can see here, that is, there is only one input layer and one output layer, so it is a single layer feed forward. Let's say multi-layer wherein you have input, output, and in between we have got some hidden layer. Okay, hidden layers are again used for providing the non-linearities in the structures, right? So again, there is no hard-coded rule that is how many hidden layer you must have in a particular problem, okay, or how many neurons in each hidden layer you must have. Okay, that is again based on trial and error. Okay, there is no thumb rule or hard-coded rule. That is, if you are having these many input neuron and these many output neuron, you must have these many neurons in the hidden layers and these many hidden layers, right? So that is again trial and error. Okay, so hidden layers normally provide you the non-linearity, the desired non-linearity which is required, right? Then fully recurrent network, competitive network, and so on. Okay, so there are numerous possibilities. Okay, let us try to understand the functionality of each layer. So input layer typically receives the initial data. Okay, as I said, that is the structured data, whatever you will provide. Okay, that is nothing but the, it goes through the input layer. Okay, so it receives the initial data. That is the only functionality of the input layer. Then hidden layer, they are not directly observable, but as I said, they provide the non-linearities for the network. Okay? So the basic objective of hidden layer is to provide non-linearities for the network. And the output layer, it produces the final result, right? From where you get the output. Say, let's say it's a classification problem, it will classify it either A, B, C, whatever is you are expecting, okay, or whatever is the objective, right? So output layer, it produces the final result, okay. Then there are broadly three important categories of training, okay. The very first one is what they call it as the supervised training. In case of supervised training, what do? We train the data with, you can say, the labeled input output data set. That is, you know the input, you know the output. Now everything is known to you well in advance. What do? You fed this input output pair, okay, and then train the network. So what it will do, it will just try to learn the relationship between the input and output. And when you ask the same network some altogether new problem, it will give you some or the other answer. Okay, again, whether that answer is right or wrong, it is very similar to the human decision. Okay, again, where our decisions are subject to right or wrong. So on the similar line, again, those issues are there. Those issues we'll talk in the next session. Then unsupervised training is wherein you provide input and you don't know the output. You know the input, but you don't know the output. Okay, so that is unsupervised training, unlabeled data. Okay, reinforcement training, which is typically used by almost all the LLM, right? It is something which is based on where you provide, you do not provide whether it is right or wrong, rather you give some indication whether it is right or wrong. So, or to put it in simple words, it is learning through trial and error. Okay, it is very similar to when a small kid learn how to walk, right? Okay, he will not directly start running. Okay, he will take small steps. First of all, he or she will try to stand up and then, okay, and then walk and then maybe gradually. So that is trial and error. Okay, to achieve the specific objective. So some or the other variant of reinforcement training is being used by most of the LLM as on date, right? Now, having said this, there is one more architecture. So we have started with, if you just try to recall, started with traditional AI, wherein we have seen certain aspect of it, certain problems, limitation, and so on. Okay, then we have also gone through the another aspect of or the evolution of AI, what is called as the machine learning. Now we are moving towards the deep learning architecture. Okay, and then at the end we'll just try to conclude with some generative AI kind of, right. So what is deep learning? This term has evolved in 2006 onwards, and it is also referred to as feature learning, right? So it is a class of machine learning techniques where many layers of information processing stages in hierarchical architectures are exploited for unsupervised or feature learning. Okay, and typically it is used for pattern analysis or classification. This is a very broad definition of DL or deep learning. Okay, now it is again there are certain complexities involved. Okay, we'll not go through all those aspects. Okay, but we need to know at the same time what are the possible architectures. Okay, and what we can do with this deep learning. So in case of deep learning, if you just try to recall, that is in case of traditional AI, we need to explicitly program. Okay, in case of machine learning, we need not have to explicitly program that, rather we train them. Okay, we train the structure and then they learn the relationship by applying some statistical techniques or maybe neural network, okay, for the learning purposes, and they try to establish some relationship. Now, in deep learning kind of an environment, okay, what is input? Input may be anything like, say, structured or unstructured data. That is the power of it, right? So the best example is, let's say, for example, you are using your mobile phone, and this face recognition feature is very common. So what is it exactly? It is capturing your image, and at the back end, some DL algorithm is running, which is simply recognizing you as XYZ person. Okay, so if the features are matching and it is happening in a real time mode, that you don't, there is no delay, there is no delay, I should say, right? Absolutely no delay, and then your mobile is unlocked. Okay, so you have structured as well as structured data. If you just try to recall, we have talked about wherein we have exact numeralized values. Okay, like say uh, 8.0, point 8, point 9, whatever it is. Okay, no normalization and those things are apart, but structured wherein you have some neutralized values. Here, structured or unstructured data, like say images, is again possible. So you can fed these systems with your images as well. Okay, so if you look at autonomous vehicles, okay, so there are a lot of sensors installed, and those sensors capture the real-time data, and it is being processed by those algorithms, and they are taking decisions, right? They are taking driving decisions, just like human being, right? So structured or unstructured data, images, etc., as I said, output is always structured. Okay, unlocking mobile through face recognition. That is the example which I have quoted here, right? So this is deep learning. Okay, this is deep learning. Now there are millions of layers. Okay, these structures are so complex. But what has happened? The hardware speed has drastically increased, and that has made it possible. Okay, I very well remember when I'll share one small story with you. When I did my masters way back in 2003, okay, worked on sorry, not 2003, it was 95, 96. Okay, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 95, 96. So those days only 386 machine with a small amount of RAM. And we used to write program in C for all these iteration, like grouping and all. Okay, so the training time was in days, not in hours, right? 2 days or 3 days, we need to keep that machine open. And let's say if the power goes down, okay, you need to start again, once again from scratch, something like that. So it was a bit difficult to train, right? It was a bit difficult to train, right? So, but what has happened due to the, you can say, the fast hardware at your disposal, these things are becoming quite possible, okay, and that too with minimum time and energy or effort, I should say, right? So structured or unstructured data, okay, whereas the output is structured data, okay, that is you will be categorized. Why I'm saying structured data, you will be categorized as a legitimate person in case of unlocking the mobile, or it will not open, right? It will not recognize you, 0 and 1, okay. You will be recognized as uh, legitimate user, or the other way around, not, right? So it will not open, right? That is the modality, okay, the input output modalities. Now there are various DL architecture, okay, generative, discriminative, and hybrid. Okay, again, we'll not go into the details of all these things because it will again require a lot of time, right? So generative deep architectures wherein you are having a lot of applications nowadays. Okay, then discriminative is the another aspect, and you may have a hybrid, which is a combination of generative and discriminative, right? And they are typically used for recognition, classification, or synthesis generation, and so on, right? Now let us look at the Gen AI. Okay, generative AI. Okay, in case of generative AI, the input is unstructured. Okay, that is text, images, etc. Okay, now we are going one step further. So if you look at AI is at the top. Then what do we have next is the traditional AI, then the machine learning, okay, then deep learning, and under deep learning we are having this Gen AI. So it is the innermost group, I should say, right? But if you look at the power of this Gen AI tools, okay, you can give unstructured input. Okay, earlier we were having limitation that is only structured. Okay, in case of DL as well, right? Now this is a use case, you may say, of deep learning. Okay, wherein you can give either text or image or anything as the input, and again output. All these tools, they are capable of giving you output as text or images or etc. So you may write a prompt. Sorry, somebody wish to ask something. Somebody has unmuted. Okay. So text to image or image to text, vice versa is possible. Text to music is again possible, or text to text, which is the most common one. That is what we do while interacting with ChatGPT and so on. Okay. So all these modalities are possible in case of generative AI. Now, what is the power of this Gen AI? Okay, the future we may witness. So earlier, this text to text was a magic for us. That is, you are writing a prompt and you are getting the responses on the screen. But that will be an old story. Okay, in the probably 1 or 2 year. Okay, you will find that it will be completely removed. Okay, because we will have tools wherein we will have this multimodal functionalities, right? Text plus image, okay, as the input, and text plus image as the output. So this kind of complexity is now being made possible with the help of this Gen AI tool, right? So the Gen AI has got that power, right? Now, none of the technologies suffers from some of the other problem, right? On the similar line, we do have problems here. Okay, we do have a lot of problems, I should say, not one, but one important problem, okay, technically speaking, which is more relevant in today's discussion is what they call it as the black box problem. What is black box problem in AI is what do we do whenever we interact with all these tools? We write some prompt, okay, and then ask the Gen AI tool to generate the response. So what it does basically, it will analyze that prompt and then it will tailor the response and you will get the appropriate answer on the screen. Okay, but how it has arrived at a particular decision or the response, that is not known to anybody in the world, right? So even if you ask the developer or the team who was involved in developing that particular tool, they will again come up with the same blunt answer, sorry sir, we don't know. Okay, so why it is so? Again, there are reasons to it. The reason is pretty simple. That is, the complexity is so high that you don't know that how that tool is arriving at that particular answer. Okay, so that internal decision making. Let's say you are using it for classification purpose or prediction purpose. Okay, it is completely hidden from the user, and that is why we refer to it as a black box problem, wherein we do not have the transparency which is needed. Okay. Say, for example, if you are using a Gen AI tool for predicting diseases, okay, so and let's assume that it is giving you some wrong responses, right? So now what you will do? Now there are again some legal aspect as well. To whom you will sue? Whether you will sue the developer or you will sue the company who is selling that product, or to whom, right? So all these issues are cropping up. Okay, so and then there are solutions to it. We'll definitely talk about the solution as well. Okay, as I said, input, we provide some input to the system. Okay, and then in between we have a black box, is nothing but the tool. Okay, and you are getting some output or the decision or the prediction, right? So this is completely hidden from the user. Okay, and that is why it is referred to as a black box. Okay, so the solution is, again, we'll talk on those lines as well. But the problem, hopefully, it is clear to you. That is, it deals with, that is, the confidentiality, or you may say the lack of transparency, okay, accountability, and all those aspects are there with this technology, right? So the very first one, as I have told you, that is lack of accountability. So when the flaw exists in the training data set, okay, they are hidden inside the black box. Okay, so it is, let's say if you are using it for some critical application, like say medical diagnosis or maybe for some military use, okay, you may face problem. Okay, you may land in some danger zone. Okay, then unpredictability. Okay, so how reliable these systems are. Okay, that is again a big question mark. So these are inherently difficult to interpret and fix when they produce unwanted result. Okay. So their accuracy and unpredictability, these issues are again there with regard to these tools. Okay. As I said, high risk in military use or now whether to trust all these tools fully, right? Fully trust or regulate. So regulation, as far as the regulation is concerned, that is again not in our hand. And as on date, we do not have any guideline. If you look at the let's say the regulating agency like say AICT or UGC, right? So we don't have any regulatory guidelines as on date. Okay, there are certain countries. Now I don't know. Some of you must be knowing that some developed nation they have banned the use of all these AI tools because they feel that it is killing the you can say the creativity and innovation amongst the student. Okay, so it is becoming a challenge, right? So how to deal with, how to regulate this technology? So definitely all of us will agree, definitely we need to agree on this point. That is, we need to regulate the use of this technology. Okay, and how reliable it is, again, that is a big question mark in there. Okay, we cannot fully trust on this. Okay, so reliability, regulating this technology, again, these issues are very much there. Okay, but if you look at the potential of this Gen AI, okay, even though it is a subset, if you just try to recall my deliberation, okay, we have started with AI, then traditional AI, then machine learning, then deep learning. Now, the small component or use case of deep learning is the Gen AI, right? So Gen AI, but if you look at the potential, in terms of potential, what these tools can do for you, okay, they can create new original content. See, I underline the word new. New meaning thereby altogether new. Okay, let's say you want to write a research article. Okay, you may do so, but ethically it is not correct, right? So if you want to use it for that purpose, okay, you may use it, but again you will face a lot of problems. We'll talk upon all those aspects as well. But their potential is there. Okay, they can generate. Okay, let's say you give 5 or 6 odd papers and ask it to generate some, you can say altogether new paper. It will do it for you. But that is absolutely wrong, right? Ethically, it is not at all correct. Okay, so one should not use it for the generation of idea, but you may use it for certain other small things like say uh, grammar checking or maybe formatting your paper or some other activities. Okay, which is laborious in terms of time and so on. But these tools are capable of playing a lot of vulnerabilities, I should say. Okay, they are capable of creating images. Okay, text. Okay, so you may create an MFSN painting. Okay, which was okay few years back, which was uh, used to be sold in millions of dollars, right? So then you may compose music, A.R. Rahman music. It's possible. Okay, you train it and it will compose it. Okay, so that is possible. Okay, and that's why there are a lot of even you must have heard about uh, most of these celebrities. They are approaching the uh, judicial system, high courts and supreme courts for safeguarding their personality, right? So there are a lot of issues coming up with regard to this, right? But at the same time, we need to know that is what is the potential of these tools. Okay, so creativity, innovation, as I have referred to, that is they can create entirely new content that it doesn't exist before. Okay, such as writing a new article or composing a music, right? Then if you look at the application areas, content creation, drug discovery, and those things are there. Okay, now having said this, we need to know that is how these systems basically function, right? So we call them as large language model. Okay, we call them as LLMs in short. Okay. Now, if you look at the characteristics of LLM, okay, there are two important aspects. The very first one is they are capable of understanding the text. So these LLMs are capable of understanding the text written in natural language. Okay. And how do they understand it? Okay, they understand it through some advanced algorithm. And these algorithms are capable of processing words, sentence, and the context in which it has been asked. Okay, see, it is not merely understanding the word or sentence, right? But the intention, context is nothing but it is the, let's say, if you are appearing in an examination hall, okay, and if you are attempting any question, what do? We underline each and every word, rather few important words which we feel some weightage has been assigned by the examiner, right? And we accordingly curate our answers while answering that particular question, because we very well know, let's say if we skip that part, let's say justification is there, and if you do not write justification, probably 2 marks will be, right? So you know the penalty for it. So, but at the same time, these tools are capable of doing so, right? Second important characteristic is text generation. So these LLMs generate coherent, contextually relevant text based on input queries. So whatever query you type, whatever prompt you, now what is left in your hand is how to write a precise or more effective prompt, right? So one complete new area of engineering has emerged, what they call it as prompt engineering. Okay. So how to craft that prompt? Okay. And once you craft that prompt, these LLMs can generate, look at the qualities, okay, coherent, contextually relevant text based on the queries, input queries or the prompt, okay, making them powerful tools for a wide range of applications. Okay, day before yesterday, I was going through an article in Times of India, wherein the Supreme Court is facing a lot of problem because the lawyers are using these tools for writing writ petitions. Okay, so it is citing cases which has never ever been rather available in the form of references in the Supreme Court of India. Okay, all together. So who should now, if I am using it, I am copying and I'm using it as it is and pasting it without validating it, okay, definitely you will face problems, right? So the cases, the cited cases were not at all there, right? So over reliant on these tool is highly dangerous. That is what the point I want to emphasize here is, over reliant on these tool is highly dangerous. So text generation capabilities are there. Then how do these LLM works? So they work in a 5-phase methodical manner. There are 5 stages, one can say. The very first stage is what they call it as the tokenization. What is it? Whatever input or the prompt you type, okay, that prompt is broken down into smaller units, okay, or tokens. Okay. So let's say in a single prompt, you have used around approximately 15 odd words. So each word, okay, not all, but to put it in straightforward manner, okay, each word will be considered as one token. So 15 word, 15 token. Okay. So why it is so? Because they need to understand each and every word, and then the context and other aspects are there. Second important aspect is the embedding. These tokens are then converted into numerical vectors. You just try to recall the discussion which we had with regard to computing with words. What do? We convert those English-like statement into computation-ready word, that is in terms of numbers. So words to number conversion is nothing but numerical vectors representing their meaning. That is, okay, while processing with the computer, you have to have numbers, right? So tokens are converted into numerical vectors representing their meanings. Okay, then self-attention, the model assesses which parts of the text are most important for understanding it, just like we underline some important word while curating our answers. So on the similar line, these tools are capable of identifying the important word and the context in which that prompt has been crafted, right? So self-attention is the third. Then prediction is the fourth. Okay. So it goes one step beyond, right? That is just like we have FAQs and so on. Okay. These tools are capable of generating their own prompts based on the earlier prompt, whatever you have written. So they predict. Okay, these model predicts the next word or token based on the context provided by the input text. So one step, that is not only processing and crafting the answers, but predicting what next would be there, right? Then response generation. Then these tools are capable of generating response by predicting and stringing together relevant words in a content. So you type prompt and then you get the desired outputs. Okay, we'll have some live demonstration of some of these tools. Okay, in the second session probably, wherein we will have some detailed deliberations on these aspects. But these are the 5 steps in which these tools basically function. Okay, as I said, one complete area of engineering has emerged. What they call it as prompt engineering. So what is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering deals with crafting precise input. Why I'm saying precise input? Because your licensing mechanism is most of the time it is in terms of tokens. And since let's say each word is considered as one token, okay, so if you write uh, 500 words, okay, and let's say the same thing you can achieve in 50 words, definitely 50 is the most best possible solution available to address that problem, right? Without compromising on the output. Okay, accurate and relevant responses. So the outputs are aligned with the user's expectations. Okay, they are aligned with the user's expectations. So now there are various prompt engineering techniques. Okay, we will not dig all, but certain basic technique we need to know. The very first one is what they call it as the one-shot prompting. Okay, this is the way in which whenever you are first time interacting with this tool, okay, normally you interact with this manner, okay, wherein you directly write any straightforward question, asking AI to give you information with regard to any specific entity, okay, without giving any example, okay. But let's say if you give one example, sorry, zero shot prompting. Okay, zero shot prompting. What has happened? This is a slide. Okay, so in case of zero shot prompting, we do not provide any example. In case of one shot prompting, what do? We provide one example. Okay, we provide one example and ask the AI to or Gen AI tool to generate the response. Now, let me give some analogy which will make your idea a little bit more clear, right? With regard to this prompting techniques. Let's say I want to generate a tagline for a product, okay, and two-wheeler which I have designed and I want to market that two-wheeler in the automobile market. Okay, and that two-wheeler is a competitor of, let's say, the one very renowned brand like say Hero Honda. Okay, so if I provide the tagline of Hero Honda, which is let's say fill it, forget it. Okay, I provide this as an example. Now I'm asking the Gen AI tool to craft or rather generate a tagline for my product. Okay, so it will be a bit easier for it to understand what exactly the user wants. The very first thing it will analyze as that let the user want not more than 4 words. Okay, fill it, forget it. Okay, and each word should depict some or the other peculiar characteristic of that product. Okay, maybe it is fuel efficiency or whatever, right? So accordingly, it will mold. Okay, so this way you may provide one example, okay, or you may provide more than one. Then in that case, it will be called as few shot prompting, right? So zero shot wherein you don't give any example, okay. One shot wherein you give one example. Few shot wherein you give more than one example, maybe two, three, and so on. Now there is one more, what they call it as the role prompting. So what is role prompting is basically you may assign a specific role to the Gen AI tool. You may say, we assume you are a vice chancellor of a university, okay, or assume you are a director of an institution, or maybe district superintendent of police of a particular district, okay, and then you are asking your question. So in that case, you get more curated responses, more tailored responses. Why? Because now the scope is limited to that, rather it is confined to that particular university. Let's say I'm saying vice chancellor of Sant Gadge Baba Amravati University. What it will do while crafting the answer, it will go to the, you can say, all the sources of information available at sgbau.ac.in, various directions, okay, notification and so on, and then it will craft the answer, right? So this is called as role prompting. So you may assign a role of a research assistant. Let's say you are carrying out some research. Okay, you may assign a role of research assistant, or it very well understand what is the role of a research assistant, right? So you may assign any damn role and then ask your Gen AI tool to craft the answers for you. Okay, there is one more, what they call it as chain of thought prompting, which typically involves breaking down a task into smaller logical steps. One big task you may divide into a number of smaller tasks, and then you feed it into, you can say, the machine, okay, so as to get the desired output. Okay, that is again possible. Then meta prompting is there, wherein you are asking it to generate its own prompts for a specific task. Okay, that is again possible. Okay, but this requires little bit expert level of reasoning and sophisticated responses. Right? Then tree of thought, wherein it will explore multiple possible paths. Let's say from my place, I want to go to Mumbai. Okay, it will find out all the possible routes and it will give me the most optimal path in terms of toll, in terms of traffic, in terms of the road condition and whatnot. Okay, that is tree of thought. Then prompt chaining, wherein it will it involves basically linking multiple prompts together in a sequence, one after another. Okay, with each new prompt building on the output from the previous one. That is a cascaded manner. Okay, the output of one prompt is given as the input, and then it goes on. That is prompt chaining. Okay, that is prompt chaining. Now, while dealing with these tools, there are certain parameters we must be concerned about. The very first parameter is the temperature. Okay? So usually the value of this temperature is between 0 to 2. Okay, that is the typical range of values. Let's say this is again most common complaint while dealing with all these GenAI tools. Most of the time we claim that we are not getting the appropriate answers. Okay, the reason lies in these parameter setting basically. Okay, so the very first parameter is the temperature. As I said, the value is between 0 and 2. Okay, you can set it to anything. Let's say if it is set to 0, so you will get more generic responses. Okay, if you want to add creativity component into it, then you need to increase the value of this temperature. Let's say if you make it 1.0 or if you make it 1.9, okay, you will get more creative responses, even though the prompt remains same, right? So this temperature is very important when you wanted to have some creativity in the responses. Okay. Second important parameter is the max token. What is it? It defines the length of the response. Okay. So longer token limits result in more detailed response. Okay. So you may set this max token. As I've told you, that is licensing is in terms of or the subscription is in terms of tokens. Okay. Definitely everybody will try to save the tokens. So you may do so by typically setting the value of this parameter appropriately. Then top P is there. That is how many potential words the AI consider when generating a response. Let's say you want to write abstract, okay, wherein it should not exceed more than 150 words. Okay, one should not use it for that purpose, but this is just for the sake of example. Okay, so you may set the value of this parameter. So what it will do while crafting your answer, it will not, it will restrict to that limit. Okay, 150 words, 200 words, whatever you have defined. Then frequency penalty and presence penalty. This is again very common complaint, right? While dealing with this tool, that you get repeated responses. So if you want to avoid redundancy, okay, if you want to avoid redundancy, you may use this frequency penalty and presence penalty. Okay, you need to set it accordingly, right? Then how it is being used in research, okay, different agencies has got their own ways of dealing with this research, right? For example, IEEE allows you to use for only grammar enhancement and editing purpose, not for anything else, right? Then there are certain tools, okay, which we'll talk. That's why I've skipped that slide. Okay. Somewhere I think I have talked about the one major problem associated with this technology. That is the black box problem. Okay. But the problem is there, but the solution is again there. And the approach is what they call it as the glass box approach. That is converting that black box into a transparent box so that you can very well justify that how you are arriving at a particular answer. Okay. So glass box model, or it is also referred to as explainable AI. Okay. So what do they do normally? Whenever some tool is there, this explainable component is nowadays gaining a lot of importance. Okay. So you simply add up this XAI component into any existing application, whatever you have developed. Okay. you can get a lot of publication in that regard. So field of explainable AI is one of the emerging area of AI, right? So how it works, that it will explain that functionality you may add. There are some tools like say Line or SHAP and many. Okay, but these two are popularly used. Okay, in this area. Okay, so many times we claim that fairness, accountability, all these issues are there, and then privacy and security is important aspect. Okay, which I'll talk on those dimension in the second session. Okay, wherein we will see certain tools wherein how you can safeguard your privacy and security. Okay, and still work with all these tools. Let's say you want to carry out some confidential work. Okay, so all those dimensions we'll touch upon in the second session. Then there is a framework, popularly known as the FAT framework. Okay, so the compliance of all these solutions in the form of FAT framework is again a hot cake in this explainable AI, which FAT stands for fairness, accountability, and transparency. FAT stands for fairness, accountability, and transparency, because these are the three major problems associated with black box problem, right? So all those things are basically overcome by this solution, right? So this is all about the theoretical stuff, okay, the theoretical foundation, what we need to know with regard to all these tools, right? Now, if you have any specific query, you can fire it now. Otherwise, we will continue with the second part of the session, that is the demonstration on some of the tools. I think I have touched upon various dimensions, but this technology, to put in short, it is also referred to as a disruptive technology. It is a sort of disruption which is taking place in every sector, I should say. Right? It is not merely the tech sector, but all other sectors. So whether you are a lawyer or you are a chartered accountant or you are a medical practitioner, okay, there's no way out, right, to escape from this scenario. So this is a disruption, but there's no need to worry at the same time, because uh, it will create new opportunities as well, particularly those who are from science and technology. Okay, you will get a lot of opportunities for building up new solutions and so on.
Dear participants, please, if you have any queries, please go ahead. Respected sir, I have one query.
Yes, yes,
Can I
please go ahead.
please? Yeah.
Please go.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful session, sir. Like you have started from the basics and you have taken towards the Gen AI. That's quite a very long journey, and it was really covered very well. Uh, my question is regarding to the activation functions. So normally we use sigmoid function, but there are other functions as well. So could you just,
Yeah,
elaborate
there
a
are.
little about
Yeah,
activation
there are
functions?
many. One of them is hard limiter. Then again, there are different variants of sigmoidal once again. Okay, so there are a lot of, you can say, see what has happened nowadays. Earlier, this was a big issue. That is, changing activation function was one of the challenging tasks. I'm talking about my old days, okay, when I used to work on neural network, 93, 95, I'm talking about 95, 97 probably, right? But in today's scenario, in drop down, you find 10H, 10 of numerous functions are there. Okay, so but sigmoidal has got certain advantages. Okay, sigmoidal has got certain advantages, like it is differentiable at every point. Okay, and then it has got numerous. That's why it is treated as well. But hard limiter is again there, which is typical is 0 and 1. Okay, then there are again a lot of variants available of this sigmoidal as well, right? Again, a lot of, and that is most of the time is available in the drop down list. Okay, so you need not have to worry. You need to simply pick any one of them and just go on experimenting with it. Okay, so wherever you get the best or the optimal response at that point of time, you have to stop. That is what I personally feel is the best strategy as far as activation functions.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. So participants, if you have any query, please go ahead. Otherwise, we can go with the next part of the session.
So I presume that there are no more queries.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. We can go with the next part of the session.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
the
Please.
second part, as I have told you, that is second part is all about that is how to use these tools for your teaching, learning, and research purpose. Okay, so we'll go one by one. There are a lot of
Sure,
tools
sir. Yeah.
available. Some of the tools you must be using it. Okay, say for example, certain basic tools are there. Probably you must be using it. But if it is so, you please let me know. Okay, so that I will skip that tool. Okay, I will skip that tool. There's no worries. Okay,
Okay, sir.
uh,
No problem.
I'll skip that tool. Say for example, we'll start with a very basic tool called as the Notebook LM. I don't know how many of you are using it, but if you are not using it, okay,
No,
let
sir.
me.
We can go ahead with Notebook LM because that tool has been recently launched.
Yes,
So,
all right,
so I guess we can go with that.
all right, all right. So let us start with a very basic tool, what they call it as the Notebook LM. And this is a disclaimer from my end. That is, I am not marketing any one of these tools because they are basic version. Okay, their beta version is free of cost. Okay, but their pro version is a paid version. Okay, so you may receive a lot of mails asking you to go for a paid subscription. Okay, but you need not worry. Okay, uh, or the one strategy I will share with you, which I have not adopted, but you may adopt it. You can create altogether a different Gmail ID, okay, for using these tools. So that will avoid your mailbox, okay, with all those stuff, okay, whatever I am referring to. So you get a lot of emails with regard to subscription and so on. Right? So if you want to avoid, so you can create a separate Gmail ID, okay, and you may experiment all these tools with that particular Gmail ID, okay, so that you can avoid this problem, okay. Because most of these tools they will uh, compel you to use some or the other Gmail credential or maybe any social media ID or uh, password and so on, right? So let us begin with a very. I hope my entire screen is visible to you. My screen, somebody has to confirm because
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's visible.
it is visible, na?
Yeah.
Yes. Let us begin with this Notebook LM. Okay, for using Notebook LM, what you need to do is you need to simply log in with your Gmail account, okay, and then directly go to this Google Apps, okay, and simply scroll down. Somewhere you will find probably last but one, okay, yeah, task, and this Notebook LM is there. Simply click on this Notebook LM. So this can be used for teaching, learning, even up to some extent you may use it for research as well. But for teaching, learning is a fantastic tool. As on date, it is completely free. So you need not have to worry about the subscription and all. Okay, you may use your regular Gmail ID for this. There is no problem as such. Okay, but let us try to have a look at it in a greater detail. So Notebook LM, as I've told you, it is a tool, AI powered tool, which is best in terms of you can say creating some teaching learning stuff. Okay, let us try something on this. Okay, now let's say I want to create a new notebook. So there are two possibilities. One is go to this create new, or the another way around is you have got a plus sign and this. Okay, let us take any one of them. Okay, I'm just trying to create a new notebook. Okay, now again you have various possibilities. So whatever you want to learn, okay, you need to specify the sources. Okay, so let's say you are carrying out research. You have got some 5, 10 odd papers downloaded. Okay, so you may add up those files by picking up this upload file option. Okay, if it is there on your desktop. Okay, so you can pick up all those files and upload those files as a source, right? The other way around, you can catch hold of some stuff which is there on YouTube or maybe any other website. Okay, so you can use this website option. Then let's say if something is there on your Google Drive, you may use this. Or let's say something you have already copied, you want to paste it. So copy test can be directly pasted here. Or let us assume that you do not want to use any one of these options and you want to search the web. Okay, search the web for news sources. So here it is expected that you must write some prompt, what exactly you intend to search for. So let's say AI in, can you identify some specific domain? Uh, in,
So we can go
sorry, ma'am, please.
we can go with healthcare, sir.
Healthcare, AI in healthcare. Okay. This is again very broad. Let's try. No problem. So what I did, I have typed something and hit the blue arrow, which indicates that now it is searching. Okay, it is searching websites, and within no time it will come up with some 7 to 10 odd sources. Okay, but one thing you need to note that it will not fetch uh, papers which are there in a controlled environment. Let's say some IEEE Explore papers are there. So those papers will not be fetched in as it is, right? Uh, Even though it will import it here, it will show you all those papers will be listed out here. So what is your role as a learner or as a teacher is identifying the real stuff in your domain. So how you can identify it? You need to go through all those papers, okay, one at a time. Okay, those papers will be available here by simply clicking on this. You can browse through, and let's say if you find it relevant, okay, you may add up those papers. Okay, let us presume that the entire all the papers are good enough for us. Okay, so we'll import all of them by simply clicking on this import button. Okay, now I'm importing all those papers, 10 papers. So this way you may add up as many as 50 sources. Okay, 50 is the limit at this point of time. Okay, this is available completely free of cost, and it has got lot of teaching learning functionalities. Okay, that I wanted to demonstrate. So it has captured all those 10 papers. Okay, and in between, as you can see, there is a chat functionality. Okay, now this is the crust of all those 10 sources. Okay, and some built-in prompts are again there ready-made. Okay, which you may click if you feel like, or you may type your own question, whatever you intend to. Okay, you may ask any time question, or let's say if you are satisfied with this prompt which has been generated by the tool itself, that is how is AI currently being used to improve clinical diagnosis. Okay, you can fire that prompt. Okay, now it is scanning all these 10 sources and curating the response. Okay, so this is one chat functionality. On the right hand side, we do have very many things here. Say for example, you want to generate audio, okay, which definitely generate audio for teaching learning purpose. Okay, so we have a functionality called audio over here. Okay, and that too, these many Indian language support is again there. This list is increasing, okay, day by day. But at present, it has got Marathi, which is very relevant for us. Again, Hindi is there. Okay, some Bengali and some Gujarati, all those languages are there. So you can create a audio. Okay, generate an audio which is a very beautiful audio. Let's say if you do not pick any of these languages, by default it will be generated in English. Okay, so it will be a conversational audio between the interviewer and interviewee. Okay, one fellow will be asking the question, other one will be responding to it. So it will help you a lot in understanding that subject or the concept, whatever you intend to learn, right? So audio, then similarly a video is there, but video it is there in English only. Okay, it will be an explainer video, and all these stuff will be based on all these 10 sources. Will not be based on one paper or two paper, rather it will be based on all 10 sources. Okay, then it is capable of generating mind map, which is typically needed. Okay, then apart from that, it let's say you want to go for some assessment and so on. So we do have a flashcard, okay, wherein it will generate a flashcards. Then quiz is there. Okay, let's say you want to go for a infographic kind of a presentation, which you want to post it somewhere for the advertisement purpose. That is again possible. Okay, even you can prepare PowerPoint presentation. Okay, say for example, this slide deck facility is there. Okay, which will create a PowerPoint presentation for you. But typically, the number of slides are restricted to 15. But it will generate a fantastic PPT using lot of graphics and so on. Okay, and it will be well organized and it will be based on all 10 files. That is the crust of all those 10 files. Okay, just see whatever we have given. Let us try to have a look at it. So it has created a mind map. This is typically used for students teaching learning, right? So it has prepared a mind map. All right. So this you can share with your student community. You can even download it if needed and so on. So this is mind map. Then I was talking about the flashcard. Okay, it has generated a clinical flashcard. Okay, how many questions? 10 sources it is using. Okay, and you can see the answer here, right? All right, so this is flashcard. Okay, then quiz, I think probably we have asked for. So let's see what is there in the quiz. So it has generated MCQ approximately 5 or 10, 12. Yes. Okay, you can go to the next question. You can browse through. Okay, hint is again there. Next, next, next. This way you may launch it with your student community as well. Right. Then I think this is what we were referring to. That is, let's say if you are interested in generating a infograph. Okay, and this is again based on all those 10 sources. So this is the infograph it has generated for you. Okay, the AI age transforming clinical documentation and patient outcomes. Right. So this is helpful in using, say, particularly for teaching, learning, and so on. Okay. The only thing you need to do is you must be very careful about while picking up the sources. Okay. But once you have selected appropriate sources, you will get fantastic response. Okay. Now there are few more things, that is you may generate reports. Okay. Reports, for example, briefing doc, which is typically needed for teaching learning purpose. Okay. Study guide is again there. Then blog post is there. And again, few more options are coming up. That is comparative overview, then process primer, risk assessment report, implementation framework. Okay. And let us assume you are not satisfied with these templates. Okay. You want to create your own. So you have a functionality like, say, create your own. So click on this. Okay. By default, English is there. Some international languages are again there. And here you are supposed to write the prompt. What report you want. Let's say you want to create a research proposal. Okay. So you may write a prompt here, that is create a research proposal for UGC major research project. Okay. And simply say generate. Now it is generating that report. Right. So this is a fantastic tool for teaching, learning, and evaluation purpose. Right? You can directly share it from this share functionality with student community. Let us move ahead. Right. So we'll not discuss in detail, but I'll show you the basic functionality of all the remaining tool, right? Wherein See, the rest of the things I will leave it to you. You may explore it later on your own, okay, because you are all from technology background, okay. But our problem is that is the content as well as the topic, everything is well defined by UGC. So we need to restrict ourselves to only those dimensions, right? And that is why the sessions are moving in this way, right? So we have a very well defined, curated NEP orientation and sensitization program, and it is mandatory to put all these stuff in a online channel as well as the UGC portal. So this session is being all the sessions are live stream on YouTube. Okay, that's the reason, because it has been made mandatory by UGC. Anyway, let us move ahead with some other tool. Okay, let us explore some tool on research front. Okay, so research front, let us try something on illicit. Okay, you want to analyze, synthesize research paper. Okay, we will not talk anything which will uh, put us in trouble in terms of ethical consideration. Okay, but whatever aspects I will be demonstrating, it will be with regard to the ethical use of these tools for teaching and research. So let us try this again. Illicit, as I have told you, that this tool is a fantastic tool for analyzing and synthesizing research paper. Okay, analyzing and synthesizing research paper. So let us type some prompt AI in healthcare. Okay. Right. So this is something which I want to search. So what has happened? It has, as you can see on the left hand side, as I said that this tool is typically used for analyzing, synthesizing research paper. So it has identified around 10 odd sources, okay, 10 papers along with their description, author, publication detail, everything is there in the first column. Second column, summary is there by default, okay. Second column, summary is there by default. But let's say I want to analyze this paper or rather all the 10 papers on a single click, and I am interested in identifying the research gaps, right? So I can do so by simply clicking on this edit column, add a new, okay, and here I am supposed to type what exactly I intend to, that is type research gaps, okay. If you want to pass on some specific instruction, you may type in this box, okay, so it will follow all your instruction, okay, whatever is your specific instruction with regard to this, okay, and then simply say add a column. Okay, so what has happened? What has happened? It has added one more column, okay, and that column is tagged as research gaps, and it is being populated. Now, if you can observe critically, okay, it is being populated by all those papers, okay. So this is the research gap for paper number so and so, right, and so on. All right. So research gaps, okay. So this way, I may go up to 4 column in a single run. Okay, there are restrictions because I'm using a free version. Okay, this is the beta version. Okay, so beta version has got some limited functionality. So I may add up as many as 4 column. Okay, 3 we have exhausted, one more column we may add. Okay, and then it will stop. It will not allow you to add any additional column. But there is a solution. That is what you can do once you are through with this research gap functionality. You may delete it, okay, by simply clicking on this, say delete, okay, research gap, once again you delete it. Now again you are ready with for next 4 column, okay. So this way you can sort it out. That is, this is a fantastic tool for analyzing and synthesizing research paper. illicit. All right. Now let us move ahead with few more tools. I know I'm going little fast, but let's say if you have any specific query with regard to any specific tool, you may ask there itself. Okay, you are free to ask. Okay, if you feel like asking, you can stop me at any point of time. There's no problem from my end. Let's move further. Okay, let's go to another tool. Let's say you want to find out literature survey. Okay, so there is a tool called connected papers. Okay, so connected papers, once again, you need to sign in with your Gmail account. Okay, right now I have logged in. This is my account. Okay, now here I may type AI healthcare. Okay, and then simply say build graph. Now I'm facing problem because what has happened, these tools has got certain limitation in terms of number of graphs in a month. But if you try it, it will give you a lot of graphs. Okay, there's no problem as such. Okay, so the graphs will be in the form of I don't know. Say for example, my 5/5 is exhausted. Okay, in a month I may draw as many as 5. Okay. Let me try with my some different account whether it works. Now continue with Google. Check out whether this works. Probably same problem. Yes, this is again done. All right. So what we will do, probably it will work now. Right. So there we are. Right. So as you can see here, that is what has happened. It has built a graph. Okay, graph indicating the prior work, derivative work, how my work is connected with the other people's work, the area I'm searching. So it is showing me the complete dependency along with a beautiful graph, which you may use. You may even download this graph. Okay, and then you may go to this prior work. Okay, if you are interested in exploring the prior work or the area you are into, or you may try with some derivative work, which is a derivative work of the work you are searching for. And then, as I've shown you, that is the graphs and so on. Apart from this, you have a lot of filters available here, okay, which you may apply based on your requirement. Okay, you may go for open access files or code available in anything, whatever you feel appropriate. Okay, then graph versions are there. Even these graphs can be downloaded, as I was referring to. Okay, you may download these graphs, okay, if needed. Okay, now this is my new account which I have signed in just now. So for using this connected paper, okay, on the similar line, you must have heard about Research Rabbit, okay, which is another fantastic tool for you can say finding out literature survey, real literature in your domain using AI. Now, some of you may argue, okay, sir, what is new in using these tools? So these tools basically exploits AI at the back end. Whatever technology we have talked about, right? It uses that technology. Whereas uh, Google's traditional way, now Google again has got that AI functionality, built-in AI functionality. But if you look at the earlier approach, Google typically uses page ranking algorithm, and it is very troublesome to go through all those links, download those papers, go through it, and then decide whether it is relevant or not. So AI in healthcare. Now this rabbit is working for me. Now it has come up with certain things. Okay, you may see all these stuff here, right? Now, there are some search settings you may apply over here. That is, say, let's say you are interested in a particular author or a keyword, you may key in all those things here. Okay. Then let's say you want to restrict your search to quartile 1, quartile 2, or quartile 3 journals. Okay, that is again possible. Okay, what about the H index? Then open access strategy, whether you are interested in retracted papers and so on. So these things can be set quite easily here, right? And Research Rabbit will again give you graphs and all, right? That is again there in case of Research Rabbit, right? So this Research Rabbit is again free and open source. Okay, all right. So this is another tool for literature survey. Let's try something on some other front, like okay, now there are hundreds of tools available. You want to take a call, which tool is best suited for your, uh, you can say the functionality you are looking for. Okay, so there is a platform called OpenRouter.ai. Okay, so simply go to this OpenRouter AI. So this is a fantastic platform. There are hundreds of model available, okay, under one roof. Let's see how many models. Now this list is growing. This is a dynamic list. Okay, at present we have got around 627 models. Okay. Now the beauty of this platform is, okay, you can evaluate which model as on date, which one is the best one. Okay, so there is a ranking available here. Okay, there's a ranking available here. Then ranking will give you the exact ranking, okay, which tool is best for which particular functionality and so on. Okay, what is their market share and other commercial aspects are again there. Okay, say for example, MinMax 2.5 is has 1 in terms of programming, technology, academia 6, science 7, and so on. Okay, so you can very well see the ranking, then you may chat with these tools. Okay, so as to feel the heat, okay, how powerful they are, and so on, and whether they are relevant or not. Okay, even you may take a comparison. Let's say you want to compare 2 or 3 tools under that category. Okay, so you may compare them with this compare functionality. Okay, and it is possible to chat with more than one tool. Okay, using this chat functionality. Okay, for taking a well-informed decision, right? Whether that tool is really good or bad. Okay, then there are few things as I was referring to. That is, if you look at on this left-hand side, you may sort out tools in terms of their input and output modality. Let's say I want to have image as the input modality and text as the output modality. How many tools are available? 172 tools are available. Okay, or let's say image input and image as output. Okay, you will get a small number, probably only 6 models are there. Okay, wherein you are giving image as input and image as the output. Then, if you just try to recall our discussion, wherein we have talked about certain parameters. Okay, so that context length, okay, and then prompt pricing, supported parameters. Okay, so again, you have all those parameters, whatever we have. There are many rather. Temperature is there, top P is there. Okay, you may click on this uh, and right. But the problem is it allows you for limited attempts. Okay, free chatting. Otherwise, you need to buy some credits. Okay, maybe $5 or $10 you need to pay, and you need to add up some credits. Okay, to your credit card. Okay, maybe for $10, $12 payment you need to make. But this is a fantastic tool. Okay, let's say when you want to take some informed decision that which tool to subscribe for. Right. So this open router is a fantastic platform for this activity. Right. Now let's move ahead. I know I'm going fast, but as I have told you, my objective is to show you as many tools as possible. Right. Now let us move ahead with certain tools wherein other platforms wherein you want to protect your API keys. Say, for example, the biggest problem with all these tools is whenever you are interacting with these tools, okay, it is vulnerable in terms of privacy, secrecy, and so on. Let's say you have been assigned some confidential task, okay, paper setting, and you are using this tool. Okay, it is absolutely a rubbish idea to do so because it is vulnerable, right? Your prompt along with the responses. Okay, anybody can catch hold of it, right? Because it is not at all secure. Now, how you can safeguard yourself from all these aspects? Okay, so there is a tool, there is a solution. Rather, there is a platform, what they call it as the LM Studio, right? So simply Google LM Studio free download. LM Studio free download. Okay, go to this first link and you will find something like this on your screen. Let's say you are using Windows. Okay, so you may pick up this Windows or Linux as per your own need, then simply download it. Okay, it may ask you to log in. So you may log in with your Gmail credential or any social media account. And once you have downloaded this executable file, once file will be downloaded in your download folder, lmstudio.exe, something like that. Okay, double click on that file, install it on your machine, right, on your desktop or laptop. Right? Don't try it on mobile phone. Okay, no, we are very crazy nowadays, right? We want everything on mobile handset, but this tool is a resource hungry tool, and once again it requires good configuration machine. So you have to have minimum i7 processor, maybe 12th or 13th generation, with 16 GB of RAM and sufficient amount of hard disk. Right. If you are having these things at your disposal, then and then only download this. Otherwise, it will slow down your machine. It will create a lot of problems. Many times it won't work and so on. So this LM Studio is a framework. I have installed it on my machine. I'll show you the demonstration. Okay, this is my LM Studio. As I said, it is a resource hungry. It will take little more time to execute. Yes. So it is a framework basically, wherein you can run any open source LLM model using this framework, right? So this is my LM Studio. Okay, what you need to do next is you need to populate it with the desired free and open source model. In my case, I have installed two LLM models. Okay, what are they? One is Gamma 2, second is Llama 3.2. So let's say I want to play with Gamma 2 or Llama 3.2. Okay, you need to simply click on that. It will be loaded. As you can see here, this small blue line is moving. Now the model is being loaded. Now, once it is loaded, now you can interact with this model. Now, this is free and open source, right? You need not have to bother about the subscription and all. Now, here, whatever interaction you will have, it will be between you and your machine. And even you don't require an internet connectivity from this point onwards. I hope you are getting me, right? Once you install this LM Studio, okay, and populate it with some free and open source LLM models, okay, once you have installed it, okay, you don't require any internet connectivity from that point onwards. You may use it on your local machine, okay, so whatever responses are there, whatever you can say the prompt you are typing, the way in which you are interacting, okay, there's no threat to your privacy and secrecy, right? So I hope you are enjoying this, right? This is something good enough to save you from the vulnerabilities in terms of privacy and secrecy. On the similar line, we have another model called as Olama. Okay. So Olama, once again, you need to search Olama free download, download that application, install it on your machine. Okay. And once you have installed it, again, you need to populate it with various free and open source models. Right. So this is my Olama. Okay, it is being loaded. Again, you have to have again resource hungry. You have to have minimum i7, maybe 12, 13 generation, 16 GB of RAM and sufficient amount of hard disk. Okay. Now the model is being loaded. Okay, as you can see here, this is saying loading. Now I have installed only one free and open source LLM, that is Llama 3.2. Okay. But you may click on any one of these and simply click on this download arrow. Okay, all those models will be downloaded and installed on your machine. Now, let's say I have picked up this Llama and here I want to interact with this Llama 3.2. Again, it is very similar to exactly parallel to LM Studio, but LM Studio is considered as more, you can say, appropriate, okay, because of the functionality it provides. There's some added features are there which you may go through later on, okay. So it will create, okay, it will work as per your own need. Also, this Olama is again a fantastic platform, right? Let's move ahead with few more things. Whether we are connected, hello, hello, am I audible?
Yes sir, you're connect. Yeah, you're audible sir. आप थोड़ा disconnect हो गए थे.
हाँ, डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया था, कितनी देर हो गई लेकिन अब पता नहीं चली. Anyway, so I think I need to share the screen once again, right? What has happened? So I am facing some bandwidth issue. Allow me to switch off my camera. Okay. So what I was referring to, whether we are connected, yes or no?
Yes sir, we are connected, and the
Yeah.
screen is also visible.
Okay. Okay. Let us move ahead. I was referring to but my video you will not be able to see probably, right? You do.
No
I have
issues sir,
switched.
no
I
issues.
have, I have switched it off.
Yeah,
Okay.
perfectly fine sir. Yes.
So I don't think that will create any problem. So I was referring to robotic process automation tool category. So RPA basically stands for R for robotics. That is the you may say sorry. Oh, please hold on. Yeah. So where were we? We were talking about RPA tool, right? So under RPA, the R stands for robotic. That is basically any entity which has the capability to mimic human behavior. Okay, now we are going to our very first slide. Then process is basically a sequence of steps that lead to a meaningful activity or task, and the automation, that is doing task without human intervention, right? So under this category, we do have around 5 to 6 tools available. But the problem is none of these tools are available freely. Okay, the only one tool which provide you some limited functionality. Okay, so we'll elaborate on that particular tool. But just for the sake of information, you may note down some 5 tools like say Blue Prism, Work Fusion, UiPath, Pega, and Automation Anywhere. Okay, out of these 5, okay, UiPath, sorry, UiPath Community Edition is available. okay, for free download. So you may download this UiPath Community Edition, okay, on your desktop. Okay, again you need to log in with your Gmail and all. Okay, and then you may download it. Okay, once you have downloaded it, you need to install it. Again, very resource hungry, but it has got a lot of you can say activity. You may do lot many things using this RPA tool. Okay, uh, Community Edition. As I have installed it on my machine, I'll show you the demonstration. But this is a very fantastic tool, uh, which you may use it for automating certain processes. Okay, so UiPath Studio is the package which you need to install. Okay, I'm running it right now. Now let's say you are not from computer science, you don't know ABC of programming, but you are very good at ideas. Okay, and you are very clear about your ideas, what exactly you intend to do. Okay, you may use this tool for any damn purpose, I tell you. Any process automation, you may use this particular tool. Okay, as I said, all other tools are available in only commercial terms, but this tool, that is UiPath Community Edition, it provides you some basic functionality again, but you may play with this particular tool, right? So this is the, you can say, the layout for this UiPath Community Studio. Okay, so on the left hand side you have got a lot of tools. Right hand side you have got various templates available. Okay, attendant automation framework, background process. Okay, mobile testing. So it has got functionality for everything, right? Robotic enterprise framework and whatnot. Let's say you want to build your own project, right? So as I was referring to, that is, you need not have to touch even the keyboard. Okay, even click is enough for building small projects, right? You can play with. So this is the small project which I have developed here. That is my project. The idea is to simply demonstrate the functionality. Okay. So what you need to do is, on the left hand side, you have got a lot of entities, templates, and everything available. What you need to do is you need to simply drag and drop those things here in the workspace. Okay. And once you are done with that, okay, simply click on this debug or run button. Okay, it will execute it for you. Say, for example, I have developed this for a very simple functionality. The sequence I am defining, input dialog is there, and some message box is there. Okay, so this is the small functionality for which this project has been built. Okay, let us try to run this. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to pick up those sequence, input dialog, message box, and simply drop them here. Okay, in the workspace. Okay, now it is asking me what is your name. Okay, and it is simply prompting me with me and a message called welcome to the session. Because if you look at the uh, activities here, there is a sequence, input dialog, and a message box. Only three things, right? So what I'm trying to emphasize here is, now this can be used for doing even some live project. Let's say if you have got access to some share market data, okay, you may extract that using some web recorder app. Those there are hundreds of functionalities available here, right, built in. Okay, which will record. Okay, any app or web, okay, for any specified purpose. But the only thing is that you have to have access. Okay, if it is not, if it is restricted, then you will not be able to. So whatever is there in the public domain, okay, you may play with this particular tool, right? This is typically a RPA tool, robotic process automation tool. Okay, and the community edition will be helpful for you to play with, right? So I think we have talked about a lot of tools. Okay, there is one more important aspect which we are left with, is the, what they call it as the agentic AI. Okay. So on agentic front, I will simply show you the, you can say the one small tool which is typically used for creating agents. Okay, and the name of the tool is the Zapier. Okay. So on Zapier, we'll just try to see that is how to create small agents. Zapier, right? Zapier.com is the URL. Go to Zapier.com, sign in with your Gmail credentials. Okay. Oh no, what has happened? Right. So there we are actually. Right. So let's say you want to create an agent. Simply go to this new agent. Okay. And as I've told you, that is, there are some built-in templates available. So if you are a beginner, okay, you may pick any one of them as per your own need. Let's say I want to automate my some Gmail auto replier. Okay. So this is the template, okay, which you may pick up. Okay. And this is what is there in the functionality. Even you can modify it as per your own need. Or let us assume that in this case we do not want to change it. Okay. So use this template as it is. Okay. And simply provide connectivity. So what it will do, it will go through my Gmail account and it will automatically reply. Okay. I'm connecting it. You need to authorize definitely. Okay. Once you authorize it, all right. So now I'm saying create. I'm saying create. Okay. Now this agent has been created. Now let's say if you want to add up some knowledge, okay, knowledge source you may add up. Say for example, if say I'm running MMTC at my center, so I may add up my calendar, okay, and ask it to reply to the queries of the participant. So what it will do, it will go through the stuff in the calendar and accordingly it will mold the responses, right? Or curate the responses. This is a simple Gmail reply I'm preparing right now. Okay. So you may test it, test agent. Okay. Now it is being tested. Now you must have observed that the beauty is you need not have to type a single word. Okay. If you are using some built-in template, but let's say if you want to change the functionality, you may do so quite easily. So any programming background, nothing is needed. Okay. You don't require any programming background or anything like that. Right. So you may create agents, you may create chatbots using this. Okay. So this is the Gmail replier. Okay. So I have retrieved all emails from your box. I found 18 mails total. Now I will create. Now it is creating. Now it has scanned my email box. Okay, it is working on it. Okay, and now it is preparing some replies. Okay. So this is Zapier. Now, apart from this, you have uh, very many things. For example, on the research front, okay, this is the reply it has framed, right? So once you approve this, okay, it will go on replying. So you may test this agent and so on, right? So this is all from you can say the Zapier and so on, right? That is wherein you can create agents. Now, if you want to try a few more, there are tools like say answer this, which you may use for writing research paper, but don't use it for that purpose. There are very many things available. Okay, under this once again. So it is again very fantastic tool. Then paper pal is there. Okay, sky space is there. Okay, so this is answer this. Okay. So you may use this tool for even writing research papers, but one should not do it because that is not expected. But there is another tool called paperpal.com, right? So this is again fantastic when you want to modify your papers in terms of grammar and type checking. Okay, very fantastic tool for that purpose. Okay, simply you need to add up the text and then even it will check, but again with some limited functionality. Plagiarism is again, it will check. Okay, it will check before submission. Let's say if you want to comply to certain guidelines. Okay, so this is a very fantastic tool in that regard. You can explore it later on. Okay. But many times you have to upload your document, which is really dangerous. Right? Let's say if you have taken a lot of effort, my advice would be don't directly upload your file. Okay, it may create problem in terms of plagiarism and so on. Then there is a bundle of assistant available for research, what they call it as Moara, right? So Moara is again a very fantastic tool. Okay, the beauty of Moara is again, right now I'm using the free plan, but you may have some integration with some other tools as well. For example, something you have uh, gathered in Zotero, you may directly connect to that Zotero collection. You can catch hold of all those stuff which is there in your Zotero. So what is Zotero is basically it is a referencing tool. It is a free open source referencing tool. Okay. So you may use this Moara, which is a bundle of research assistant for doing out certain activities in terms of research. Right. This is my Moara account, but right, you can go ahead with collaborations and so on. Right. This is my library. Right now, I don't have anything in my library, but you may go for a full text review. Even review can be done here. Okay. For review, again, we do have another tool called as review it. Okay. So it will peer review your manuscript before submission. Okay. All right. So you need to upload, but okay. So this is review it. Then this way there are many. That is, let's say you want to get feedbacks, PhD thesis or master's thesis. So there is a tool called Thesify. Okay, THESIFY, Thesify. Okay, Research Rabbit, I think I have already talked about. Then there are other tools like say Granola and so on. Let's say you want to attend a meeting along with your assistant in online mode. So this Granola will take, it will create the transcript for you for the entire happening in the meeting, right? It will create a text or transcript, right? All right. So this is all about various tools. Okay. Now we will. This is all from my end. I'm sorry. Let me stop sharing. I hope we are connected.
Yes, sir, we are connected.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, we are connected.
Okay. Okay. So now, if you have any query, you can fire it now. Okay. So good to see good number. 65 participants are there. Really happy to see. Mm, yes. Now, as I've told you, that is all these programs are basically about deliberating on various aspects of NEP 2020 and having some brainstorming on various aspects of teaching, learning, maybe integration of technology in teaching, learning, evaluation, and research. Right. So I would love to hear from you. That is probably we are at the fag end. Tomorrow we'll have last session. Okay, wherein Professor Sabu Thomas will talk about the skill development component of NEP 2020. But as far as today's session is concerned, let's say if you have any concern, please you can fire your queries right now.
So that was really a very wonderful session.
Thank
I
you.
mean, all the tools were very handy, and they are. I mean, even I have also not used few of them, so it was really very informative.
Thank you.
I will try to use few of them then.
Yes.
Dear
You may adopt.
participants, if you have any queries, please go ahead.
So there are two possibilities. I will not come up exactly, but you can read between the lines anyway. Mm.
Yes, sir. But yes,
So
it was really very informative session, sir. Thank
thank
you
you so
so
much.
much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And
Ankit,
it
sir?
was Ankit probably he will be joining at 5 o'clock because our schedules are as per the timetable, right? But that's why I said, ki, bhai, if you have any aspect wherein you want some deliberation, as I've told you, that is we have a lot of problem as far as this technology is concerned, right? So we need to be little bit cautious while dealing with all these tools. Okay, say let's say if you try to generate some papers, okay, using this, okay, my advice would be don't do that because you will face a lot of problems. Because when you will put that paper into flag check, okay, it will be categorized as AI generated stuff. So plagiarism tools are equally becoming competent to deal with all these technological happenings, right? So my advice would be that is don't use, rather don't misuse these tools for doing any research activity, okay, wherein you may face some problem, right, while dealing with all those aspects. So ethical considerations are definitely one has to take care, okay, and some creativity innovation aspect, which I think I have already talked about. So you people must be having your own say on those dimensions. That is whether we need to adopt this or whether it will kill our, you can say, the creativity and innovation or the students' creativity and innovation. But as far as you can say for teaching learning is concerned, if you use them, okay, there is nothing wrong in that. Okay, that is my personal take on this. Okay, but for research, definitely you must be very cautious while dealing with these tools. You should not use it for generation of ideas. You may use them for some doing some or identifying some literature review, as I have demonstrated. Okay, for those activities there is nothing wrong, right? But for all other purposes, you must be very cautious, right? So if anybody has got something to say on these dimension, okay, you are
Yes,
welcome.
sir. We are very strict with the ethical concerns because in our institute we have turned it in to check
Oh,
all the flag and all. Even AI writing is also very much restricted to
yes,
certain percentage. So
yes,
that way we take care on our side.
yes. So that is the major concern. Okay, we should be
Hello.
bothered about. But for teaching learning, there is no harm, right? You may proceed, right? You may use it. Notebook LM and all, right? Whatever I have demonstrated, that there's nothing wrong in using it for that purpose. All right.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Even many AI models they hallucinate and they give us wrong data as well many a time. So we need to just check whether the things whatever the LM model is given is correct or not.
Yes, yes. You need to double check, I should say.
Yeah, that's an extra work.
Moderation, human intervention is always needed. Okay. And over reliant on these tools is highly dangerous. As I'm repeatedly telling you, right? Is over reliant on these tools is highly dangerous. So we must be
Right, sir.
very
Right.
cautious. Yeah, we must be very
Yeah.
cautious about it.
Okay, so
With
thank you so much. And Ankit, sir?
Ankit sir is not there, right? So we'll stop here. No problem. All right.
No, I guess he's there, sir.
He's there. Ankit, are you there?
I've called him, so
Acha. ठीक है.
anyways,
Actually,
thank you
normally
so much, sir.
we used to take a 5 to 10 minutes break, but today actually we haven't gone for any break. Okay, because you were little bit reluctant to go, so I thought, okay, let us continue in a single go, right? So anyway, thank you very much, and I hope you are enjoying all the session. Okay, so, probably if needed, we will have some uh, feedback session tomorrow. And one important announcement I would like to make is you must have appeared for this MCQ assessment test. Okay, one additional formality is there. We will be sharing with you a feedback link. Okay, so after tomorrow's session, I would request all of you that you please fill up that feedback form. Okay, which will definitely help us in improving our services as a MMTC center. Thank you very much. Right. So it's over to you, Nilima. Let's stop here.
Yes,
Nilima,
sir.
madam. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful session. It was something which was really very technical, and apart from NEP, we really came to know like what all tools can be used in our research of as well, because many of us are doing and struggling to do research, and that too quality research. These tools are definitely there to assist us, and definitely we will be making use of them. But at the same time, we have to be very much careful about their usage. As you said, we need to double check it. So thank you for such a wonderful and informative session, sir. On behalf of the D.Y. Patil Deemed to be University, Ramaraodik Institute of Technology, and SGBAU, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude and thankful to you on behalf of participants as well. And looking for more such sessions with you, sir,
Yes.
in future, definitely. And
Definitely.
thank you for
Definitely.
giving us this opportunity to conduct this NEP orientation program, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
And with
Thank
your
you.
kind consent, if you permit us, then we can end the session, sir.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Professor Atik sir. And with the kind consent of Professor Atik sir, I would like to declare that this session will be over here and we will meet tomorrow.